Hey everybody, here's another burner from our series systems uh, with Nge2, and this is from Win with the Closed Sicilian, and we are on game 29 here. Again, everything is all in the playlist with my light comments. Again, we're not using engines. We're just talking about general chess principles. If you're interested in this opening, feel free to go back from the beginning. In the playlist, you'll see all the different variations. Uh, major variations pertaining to this opening. We're going to get in the time machine right now, and we're going to go back to the Soviet Championship of 1966, where we have young international master Anatoly Karpov with the white pieces, and with the black pieces, a player named Augustin. And we're going to get right into it. And again, please check my links below afterward because there's material pertaining to the opening in particular in the form of DVDs and books. And please don't skip on donating if you can. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it. So we have, guess what? Closed Sicilian. G6, Bishop G2, Bishop G7, Knight GE2. A move Karpov played a lot when he was young. Rook B8 with the typical expansion on the queen side from black. We've seen this before. Okay. And if you notice here, D3 is delayed. And that's just a basic like psychological thing right there. It's more routine is just playing D3 and D6 first. Here Karpov just went straight up for the castle. And it's just a psychological ploy in that um, Black has to wonder like maybe is there something prepared? Is he gonna try to somehow get D4 in straight away or something like that? So it's kind of like just like a ploy to see get more information out of Black. E6 is played. F4. Notice the D pawn has not been moved yet. So D6, and now Karpov plays G4. All right, still no D pawn move. All right. Now, usually, of course, this move is played later after say D3, Bishop E3, H3, etc. After White is more established in his development. All right. So this provocative move, you know, kind of kind of puts pressure on Black to try to do something because White is being quite aggressive here. So he lashes out with H5, which is met by G5, Knight GE7, and now finally D3. All right, and so we can see, can take some stock and see that White has quite a bit of space on the king side, and that's as a result of this move H5 from Black. So White's opening strategy has seemed to um, perhaps rattle Black just a little bit. All right, and kind of being a little bit over aggressive, and now he has to deal with White's nice space advantage on the king side. All right. So now this long-term structure, the long-term future for this structure is going to be predicated on White being able to break through with F5, which is not going to be good for Black if White can successfully implement this move. All right. So let's see what happened. B5, Queen E1, Knight B4, trying to keep White honest. What are you gonna do about that C pawn? And Karpov just merely goes back. The Queen D2. All right. Now let's talk about this for a second because it looks silly that Queen E1 was played and then Knight B4 and then Karpov has to rush back. Now there's really no real justification behind this. You know, we could just brush it off and say it's a waste of time. However, the knight on b4 blocks the b pawn from advancing further. So although black gained tempo rather, attacking c2, he's still going to have to move this knight at some point in order to continue his attack on the queen side. So it's kind of like a trade off as far as time is concerned, because although white had to move his queen to d2, eventually that knight's gonna have to move itself, in order to continue his attack. King h1. I'm sorry. First knight bc6. First, he moved back. So there's the time I was talking about that he had to, give back. King h1. Of course, we've seen this if you've been following the videos, getting the king out of harm's way. Because sometimes a queen comes to this diagonal, and you don't want any discovered checks in the mix. d5. All right. Karpov breaks through f5. E takes f5, and now knight d5. Knight takes d5. E takes d5, and knight e5. All right. And he's hoping that he can blockade this d pawn, this black that is, hoping he can blockade this d pawn and eventually surround it and capture it. All right. Karpov plays the move queen c3, attacking this pawn right here. And here's another benefit of the king being on h1. If the king's on g2 at this point, a simple discovered check would win the queen. Okay. So now Karpov threatens c5. All right. And he's threatening to continue to put pressure on this e5 square. All right. Maybe like moves like bishop f4, for example. All right. Queen d6. There it is. Bishop f4. b4 hitting the queen. And now just queen b3. Castles. All right. d4. C takes. Knight takes. And now bishop b7. So this is what black was intending, to try to blockade this pawn and then capture it. But it's proven to be more difficult than it seemed. Knight c6 from Karpov, hitting the rook. Bishop takes. The pawn advances. One more square closer to queening. And now queen c5. Now rook a to d1. And now rook b d8. So the knight is no longer pinned. But bishop e3. Queen b5. Still trying to keep an eye on this pawn. And now a4. Okay, and you notice that Karpov keeps harassing the black queen. Queen c4. And now the a pawn drops. Queens are exchanged. A pair of rooks are exchanged. And here we are back at this pawn again. Karpov protects it again. Rook c1. Knight to d3. Rook to c4. Bishop e5. Bishop b6. Knight takes b2. Rook takes b4. And we can see here these three connected path pawns are going to be the end for black. Bishop c3. Rook b5, and it's just a matter of untangling the white pieces. So c7, rook e8, bishop a5, rook e1. Karpov simply gives up the bishop, which he can afford to do. King g1, bishop d4, c8 queen, with check, king h7, rook d5, and rook c2, and just rook takes d4. And of course, after black resign. If he takes the queen, he'll just be down a piece after rook d3. So that is it for that game. There's one more game in this chapter, systems dealing with knight Nge2, and it's another Karpov game as a young international master, and it'll be a slightly different variation. Just summing up this game real quick. Again, Karpov played real aggressive. Usually players will do that against, if they need a win. I don't know what the tournament situation was at the time. But he, caused Black to make some provocative responses. And again, this opening is all about, like, basically getting to, like a neutral type of position and then outplaying your opponent. This it doesn't rely on long theoretical lines. It's more strategic in nature. And as you see moves like this, for instance, this knight b4, queen d2 sequence, the knight goes back to continue the attack. And then you see this well-calculated move, f5. And this is usually a signal that something has gone wrong in a position when you have spent a great deal of time, for instance, as black, defending the f5 square. You have pawns on e6, g6, bishop on c8, and knight on e7, all designed to stop the f5 advance, and it goes anyway. And then you see great positional play and insight by Karpov, calculating that he can safely put his queen on c3, although there's a bishop on g7, and also recognizing that he will be able to hold on to that d pawn. And to me, that was like the most important, idea in the game, because if black can just round it up and win it, then it will show that white strategy has failed. But he was able to keep that D pawn, eventually convert it to a C pawn, and then the rest was just history, as they would say. But the hero of the game was this D pawn running up the board. So a great piece of strategy by the young Karpov, and insight. Um, at this point, feeling that he had enough firepower to keep that pawn supported. All right, so I hope you like that and learn a little something. Again, all the games are in the playlist if you're interested in this great opening. And also check the links below. And I'll see you on the next video.